So at the Iowa Communications Network over the past year, we've been very focused on developing our cybersecurity efforts. We stood up a new security bureau that houses both our cybersecurity team and our public safety initiative teams. We have been also standing up a broadband information center. This is a center that actively monitors the network, but it also monitors cyber threats that the state is receiving and our end users are receiving. We're creating new cybersecurity products and services to provide to our end users to help them protect their networks as well too. We have a lot of small rural schools, sometimes small rural hospitals that are really requiring and asking for these types of services. We've really changed from a very traditional internet service provider and telephony provider to become a more service-driven provider to our end users for all these types of different services that they're asking for. We can no longer be just the circuit provider, just the bandwidth provider, just the internet provider to our end users. We've also moved into doing managed voice services. We're no longer going to be in the voice infrastructure business where the state of Iowa owns its own voice infrastructure. We've contracted with a private provider to do an end-to-end solution that provides a cloud-based managed voice service. And that moves us from a CapEx model where every 5 to 7 years we were very capital intensive to a more consistent operating model. It also benefits our end users because they can now receive updates, grab new services from the cloud at a much faster way than they had before. And both of these are a real big paradigm shift from when I started in telecom 20 years ago. Back then we had security threats, but they were mostly toll fraud or scams on the network. But with the advent and proliferation of cybersecurity threats and the voice, video, and data network all becoming one now, we've really got to find ways to deliver new protections to our customers. And cloud-based services in the voice arena in particular are a much more dynamic way to receive and get those kinds of services than we were 20 years ago, where it was premise-based PBXs that were very expensive. So I mentioned we have that broadband information center that not only monitors threats to the network, but we're also able to apply some mitigation to when threats occur. The Iowa Communications Network is unique, and we're in a unique position because we are the network that sits at the core between the executive branch, the Iowa National Guard, the Department of Public Safety, the Iowa Department of Homeland Security. So we can assist them in their cybersecurity response plans by not only monitoring the network, being a central location to mitigate services, and also to be a central point of communication for them as well too. They don't have to focus their efforts on networking when a cyber attack occurs. They can rely on us to give that operational support to them, and then they can focus on what their missions are, whether it's law enforcement, disaster recovery, or IT services for the state. Networking telecom is going to operate in a very different manner in the near future. What used to happen at the lower OSI models, lower OSI layers, is now going to happen up the stack, where services and functions are going to be provisioned not on a port and hardware basis, but on a software basis. So things that might have taken days or weeks to provision and deliver will take a matter of seconds. Customers and our end users will be able to order services, and the network fabric itself will provision those and deliver them to them instantaneously. So the ICN is starting down that road and starting down that journey by upgrading our core network to a very flexible 100 gig core. That's going to set the stage for us to be able to develop those kinds of services to our end users, because they're really demanding and requiring those things be delivered to them in a flexible and a very fast manner. So the biggest challenge we have is knowing that we're staying ahead of the cyber threats. We have to be very proactive. State networks, government networks are tested and attacked all the time. So we have to be in a constant monitoring mode, but we have to be prepared also. We can't just monitor. We have to be able to do something about those attacks as well too. And so staying ahead of that curve has been a very big challenge for us. The other big challenge when it comes to cybersecurity is training and employee and staff training. The attacker's biggest advantage is the human element when they're trying to gain access to the network. So it just becomes critical to be able to deliver training to staff all across the board, not just the IT, not just the networking, not just the technical, but across all divisions and bureaus to provide them cybersecurity training so they're ready when they see and recognize threats and they can act accordingly. So we need to be a very strong broadband provider, not just in bandwidth and capacity for our end users and our government users, but also to be able to deliver these advanced security services to help protect their networks. We need to be a lot more flexible. Governments need to act a little bit more like some private sector companies when they turn up services online and able to deliver things in a flexible manner via the internet to meet citizen demands. And what citizens are expecting now from their governments are to mimic and mirror those kinds of services they can get anywhere else. And we need to do it in a fast manner as well too. Our customer users' needs change almost on a daily basis, and the network has to be able to adapt and provide those things in a fast and quick manner.